What's going on, folks? Willie here from DreamHouse Musiq. I want to talk about a song, Jesus is My Rock, by Rev Gerald Thompson. It's a foot stomping song. It's in E flat. I want to go over some beginner ideas, patterns that you could use in these kind of congregational songs. Beginner ideas, right? Nothing too complicated, hopefully. Just want to give it a breakdown and talk about some ideas that you could do as a beginner, okay? To play these kind of songs, you just need to know a few patterns. But before the patterns even, you should know the foundation things like the scale. So we're in the key of E flat, so we're using the E flat scale. And you should know the number system. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And you should know your diatonic chords. I say it all the time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You should know those chords because all other chords come from those. So, in these type of songs, there's only really 3 main chords. Okay, so let's talk about them. It's the 1 chord, right? Which in this case would be E flat. The 4 chord, which would be A flat, A flat, C, E flat, A flat, C, E flat. So A flat major. And then B flat, the 5 chord, B flat, D, F. All right, so these foot stomping songs, these are the main chords, really. The 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord, okay? Now you can manipulate those chords to kind of give a more gospel bluesy feel. For instance, when we're playing the 1 chord, right? So when he starts with the verse here, that's all just on the 1 chord, right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 chord. All right, so we're in the E flat, 4 chord. Back to the 1 chord, right? 1 chord, 1 chord. Now we go to the 5 chord, 5 chord, right? It's just 3 chords. 1 chord, 1 chord, to the 4 chord, back to the 1 chord, right? 1 chord, 1 chord, 4 chord, to the 1 chord, okay? So that's all it is, just 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord. Now to add movement, okay, so 2 things, you kind of change up the chord a little bit, and you also do walking bass line, all right? So on the 1 chord, if you listen to the bass player, he's just going back and forth. If you look at the 1 chord, it's the E flat chord, E flat, G, B flat. He's just going back and forth on the 1. We're talking about the chord now. So the 1 would be E flat, the 5 would be B flat. Okay? So we're talking about the 1 chord. And the pattern on the 1 chord is we're just going back and forth on the 1 and the 5 of the chord, right? So so you could practice the left hand first maybe, right? So you're just going back and forth between the 1 and the 5. All right? Maybe we'll just practice that, right? Now I'm going up from the E flat to the 5, but you could go down as well. So E flat and go to the B flat below. Just go back and forth like this. Right? Just practice that. If you're a beginner, just go back and forth. Now I'm using an app called XME Loops. You could get it on the Apple Store if you have an Apple product, and you just pay a subscription, and you could get these click tracks. You could just play and practice along. So that's what I'm using. But yeah, you just go back and forth and practice your left hand and get it really solid, right? Because If I didn't say it before, we're doing this tutorial as if you don't have a bass player, right? It's just you on the piano or you and a drummer, right? So that's what you'd have to do with your left hand. Now, when you go back and forth with the 1 and the 5, you could add in the 6, which is the C in it, right? So I can't hear my loop. So what I was saying, you could add in the C, the 6. So you can go back and forth. 5, 6, 1, 5, 1, 5, 6, 1. I'm talking about the numbers in the E flat scale, right? Jesus is my rock. Right? So this is what the pattern you do all over the 1 chord. Right? Just go back and forth. Dum, dum, dum. Bum, bum, bum. Right? Something simple like that. And then for the right hand pattern, right? I would do, let's just do something basic. So you're gonna play the 1 chord in first inversion like this. Okay. So G, B flat, E flat, and then you go A flat chord, which is the 4 chord. Okay, and then you're gonna play really it's a 5 minor chord, but instead of F, we're gonna play an E. Okay, so it's the 1 chord, 4 chord, and then the 5 chord. This is like a B flat minor sus chord, right? So the real chord is this B flat, D flat, F, which is a B flat minor. The diatonic chord, the diatonic 5 chord in E flat is B flat, D, F, but we're playing this chord and we're adjusting it. We're dropping this F to an E flat. So the pattern is ba, do, 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 do. All right, so that's all over the 1. So you have to practice that, right? Just to get it under your fingers. Okay, so if I play with the click track. Or I could slow it down. Let me drop it. That was 115. Let me drop it to speed 90 beats per minute. My bad. Something like that, right? And then, so when I hit the 1 chord, you might have noticed I slide into the, from the G flat to the G, okay? So you just take your thumb and just slide into that G, right? You could just practice with your thumb, and then you could maybe do with the chord, right? Da, 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 right? Da. There's our 5 chord, 4 chord, 1. So this is the pattern. This is the complete pattern over the 1. Right? So I kind of swing it too. It's not always straight. Ba, 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 ba. It's more like ba, 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 ba. Right? You got that pattern? Ba, 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 ba. If you want the MIDI file for this, you can get the MIDI file in DreamHouse Unit Academy. Click the link in the description. I have a promo going on right now for lifetime access, so click on the description to get access to the MIDI file for this. You could slow it down and change it to different keys, which is really cool. Which you would basically use the MIDI file I created with Ridiculous, and you could do some really cool things. Change the key, change the tempo. Okay, so let's continue on though. So What else would I do on the 1 chord? Because it's all about patterns, right? So there's a pattern on the 1 chord. Any other beginner patterns? So another simple thing you could add is, see, right before you play the 1 chord, I said you can slide from the G flat to the G. Well, you could also do this. Not only slide from the G flat to the G, but also the A to the B flat. Right? So you'd play actually a G flat diminished chord. And don't get confused, right? So all you do is you take the 1 chord in first inversion, drop the 3, which is the G, down, drop the 5, which is the B flat, down to A. So it's like, and then from the B flat, then you'd play the 6 of this scale, which is C, right? And you could use it as a passing chord, right? So you go like this. So how does that work in the pattern? So it would be something like this. So that's what it is. So ba 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 ba